Hello, hello. Welcome to cEDH Budget Brews. I'm Tim.
And I'm Brandon. Hi.
Hi, Brandon. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Tim?
I'm doing good, dude. Continuing in our series of cEDH Meta Busters, I wanted to go over Cicada's Hipster Stax tonight. It's a Tana and Arden Naya Stax deck that runs a Stoneforge package and Godo to kind of have your combo kill. So what's nice about Arden is that it allows you to play under all of your Null Rod effects, as well as by utilizing the Stoneforge package, you can play relatively effectively under all of the rule laws as well. So essentially, you just get the Stoneforge Mystic, tutor up a sort of Hearth and Home, play it, get it into play with the Stoneforge Mystic, play Arden, attack with any creature, get the equip trigger, then you blink your Stoneforge Mystic, and you just start getting more equipment every turn, and you start accruing value that way. So that gives you like a form of card advantage. Hearth and Home also gives you ramp. And then since you're able to like blink the Stoneforge Mystic, you'll start accruing other pieces of equipment like Sword of Fire and Ice, Colossus Hammer, Conqueror's Flail, Mask of Memory, like all these different, they just kind of Commander's Plate, Skull Clamp things. And then Arden just allows you to auto equip them to whatever creature you want. And then you also have Helm of the Host with Godo to kind of act as an infinite combo. Just the fact that you are in good hate bear colors, you can play under your own hate, just really makes Hipster Stax the like a non-blue Stax deck kind of where I want to be in 2022. It very much reminds me of what I always wanted Blood Pod to be. Blood Pod, my biggest struggle with Pod was always that I always had to remove all my own Stax pieces to win. You know, I'd run 3 Null Rods, but I'd have this Pod in my hand. I'd have to try to kill my own Collector Oof or kill my own Stony Silence or my Null Rod just to be able to win. And then all the blue players just stopped me, and then I just kept dirtling. Another common occurrence was that I would play a Blood Moon, and I'm a 4-color deck. And I don't, even though I am running a lot of basics, it just kind of made it a little bit challenging to really kind of adapt it to the modern meta, especially like with Dockside. A deck running Null Rod and Dockside at the same time is just kind of a nombo. So the deck kind of had a lot of nombos in it, very eloquently solves a lot of those issues. That is one of the reasons why I think it's a good beginner deck, because the basic plan is just play the Stoneforge Mystic, get the Hearth and Home, grind value, grind hate pieces till you get to the mid game. Maybe assemble a Godo if you get a chance. Or if you're just on the manual beats plan, you got Elishnorn to act as either a pseudo one-sided board wipe or to pump your team. You also have Aberrant Caretaker, does the same thing. It's not hard to transform this thing because you're playing Rule of Laws. So all you need is one person to not do anything relevant for a turn and it flips. And then with all the Rule of Laws effects in the deck, it's hard to get it to flip back. You've also got Archon of Valor's Reach to help you kind of lock out spot removal like instants or lock out tutors in the form of sorceries. Obviously, you can name other card types like Artifact, Enchantment, or Planeswalker, but most of the time, instant and sorcery are the 2 relevant ones. You get Wandering Archaic to help just kind of interact on the stack. Then there's like a nice little creature package in here that works with sort of Hearth and Home, like Solitude, Sanctum Prelate, just so they're like two of the big ones that come to mind outside of like Recruiter of the Guard. Some versions are running Imperial Recruiter. My version is, this one is not. I do personally like having both recruiters. So that way I just have more, you get Yasharn to kind of shut people off of being able to play fetch lands to kind of attack their mana base. It stops them from being able to play things like Culling of the Week, Infernal Plunge, just to like really hamper. Blink Endurance, the deck just has all the pieces. Probably the biggest issue I had playing the deck, if I didn't kind of get the right combination of cards in hand, this may have just been a byproduct of not maybe mulliganing quite efficiently enough, or just not getting enough like adequate card draw online. I did sometimes have a little bit of an issue where like I would lock the board down and I would be progressing very well. But now I've just got 3 players that don't have nothing to do and I'm the only one advancing. So then I start getting targeted. People kind of remove the incorrect pieces and then the next guy will win. really, that was probably the worst issue I had. Now, when I was playing against players who were of higher caliber, that was not an issue, and the deck performed much better. And that was the same issue I have with Rurik Thar. I've had it with Blood Pod, where since you're the one putting everything on the board and you're doing all the heavy lifting, and then everybody's just kind of sitting there with their hands tied, what they can do tends to get pointed at you. And this deck can close the game out relatively quickly, which is nice. I mean, putting a Commander's Plate or a Colossal Hammer on Tana, who's already a 2/2 trampler, and then it floods the board with anywhere from 5 to 12 1/1s in addition to just doing 2 hits of commander damage is pretty good. And then you just got all the nice interaction suite.
I do want to say before you get too far ahead that I think what you were saying is just the byproduct of being a Stax player, because I think that's a common thing amongst people playing Stax is sometimes the game kind of dawdles out for everyone else and you get targeted and removed first.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily because you made a play mistake, essentially, is kind of where I was getting at. Sometimes it is because Stacks can be unforgiving to people who don't know it. So that's kind of where I was going next. Getting the basic lines have a relatively decent barrier to entry. It's really getting that you'll get a decent return on your skill level, once you hit the base, the fundamentals of the deck. But the curve to really just getting the full optimal play patterns can be a little bit steep and a little bit challenging. The deck does budgetize very well, and a lot of the pieces that cost money, and even the ones that don't, will see play in other decks. And being in Naya, you have access to a lot of cheap lands to help you have a reasonable budget mana base that doesn't cost $2,500. Well, and I mean, sure, there's a lot, and you can optimize the mana base pretty well without reserve list cards pretty easily, and it will perform relatively close to what the budgetless version will. So that is something as well. So not only will the budget scale, but the play skill kind of scales as well. So I unless there's something that I've overlooked, I think that pretty much about covers it for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really I can add. You've touched all the points that I was even thinking about. So,
okay. I mean, I could go on and gush about how great this deck is and how great of a job Cicada did for hours, but I think I'll save everybody the boredom because I've already kind of done it for about 10 minutes and I think I've hit my points. And so I think with that, I think we will maybe close and move on. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So everybody, thank you for joining me. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the description below. You can also reach out to us on our Discord. That is the cEDH Budget Brews Discord. We have resources available at budgetbrews.club is the website, as well as deck lists for various budget tiers for 500, 750, 1,000, and budgetless. We also have a tab for Pauper as well. So if you're really looking for some ultra budget, that might be an option for you. If you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/cEDH_budget_brews. Give us a buck. It'll help keep the lights on. And everybody have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.